Okay, hello, welcome to our channel. It is the 7th of August, 2025. I'm excited. We have Colin Plume from Noble Gold on. It's a tense, unsettling financial world now appearing worldwide. Colin, you are the president of Noble Gold?
Yes, I am.
And I am honored to have you on. I've been dealing with Noble Gold since gold was $1,200 an ounce, and my investments have tripled in value.
That's true.
So if you've got an investment that hasn't doubled or tripled in value in the last 10 years, you've got a problem, don't you, Colin?
Well, we've definitely seen the price of gold catch up to where it should be, and I think that what we're going to talk today also should give people some new insight into some things that are happening. And sometimes the things on the news you don't watch them as closely, you don't realize how important they are. But the firing of the head of the BLS commissioner, Erica McAntifer, actually is a much bigger deal than a lot of people realize. And I've spent a lot of time researching it, and so I think I can bring some interesting insight into how this is important, why is it important, and how it affects everybody that's listening to this show.
Well, the head of the Federal Reserve System said that he's using the data from Erica McAntifer, the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. She's secretary. He's been using this data for 4 years to come up with his financial estimates and the interest rate and the bond sales. And the statistics have all been a lie.
Correct. Yeah, and if you look at it, the first thing is like, well, how does the BLS, how do they come up with the job numbers? And we're using an antiquated system,
right?
Which we don't need to use. I mean, we have so much more technology at our disposal, but there's two ways that they pull the data. They use payroll data from established sources, so this is good.
Right.
And they take a sample to determine if jobs are growing. One part that's faulty in their research is they will count a person that has 2 jobs. They'll count both jobs. So
right.
if a person's driving Uber and works as a school teacher, they're going to count that as 2 jobs, which I don't think really gives a clear picture, because if someone's working 2 jobs, they're trying to make enough to cover what a normal 1 job income would be.
Right.
So, if somebody has 3 or 4 jobs, they could be counted. So that's the first thing, and that comes from the payroll information. So it would be, I think, a little misleading to the numbers to say that a person that has 3 jobs and you count that as 3 jobs, but they do. So that's the first part that I think doesn't make sense. The second part is they do a household survey, and they actually call people. They call 60, 70,000 people.
Oh, you're kidding.
And they ask them. And can you imagine what if you got a call? I mean, of course you're going to say that you have a job. Like, you're not obligated in any way.
Right.
So they do this. They take the 2 pieces of data between the 2, and they come up with an estimate. And the estimates have always been wrong, and it makes sense that they would be wrong. The problem is the amount that they're wrong goes beyond a typical benchmark for any kind of reporting. You would expect 2 to 3% up or down,
right,
depending on when the real data comes in. If you look at the May and June job numbers that were revised in August,
right,
they were revised down by 258,000 jobs combined.
Wow.
This is the largest 2-month revision since the Great Recession of 2009. So we're not talking about a 2 or 3% error. we're talking about this is 70% off of what they estimated. And
Wow.
the problem with this is that there's many parties that are using this data to determine if they should do something. Investors. If the job reports are good, there's certain investments that make sense. If
Right.
the job reports are bad, there's other investments that make sense.
Right.
And if you look at the data and how it's revealed, there is information that is being revealed to market makers, which means insiders basically, that come to them first and then come to the public second. So basically, you have situations where market makers get this data that, hey, those job report numbers that came out a few months ago, they're wrong. They're way down. I'm going to give you this information first so you can take advantage of this on the stock market. And that's happening on the stock market. These are big deals to investors, and they're a big deal to you and I, because part of what investors do is they're looking at an idea of how the economy is going, and if
Right.
jobs are growing, that's a typical way to look at how the economy is going. Now, the other thing to look at is, was this politically motivated? Was there, was there some kind of intention behind the data? And if you look at a chart, it's really easy to believe that this is politically motivated, because if you look at last year, for instance,
Right.
you look at what was estimated in September, October, December, it looks like the estimations and what the final revisions are were actually going up. So actually, last year, for most of the year, they were estimating low, and then the numbers were coming out a little bit higher. As soon as President Trump came in January, the numbers went completely the opposite. So even though we've been seeing a trend of the last quarter last year where they would estimate a certain amount of jobs and the true numbers would be higher, which would be favorable to the Democrats and favorable to Biden. Now, and let's be honest, we don't know what the true numbers are, but now this year, and Trump got in office in January, now you have a reported number, and then the actual number is coming in substantially low. So whether the numbers are true or not, it is reasonable for a person to say that these new reported numbers are making the economy look worse while Trump's in office. And so this is the thing that the consistency that is unfortunate. Also, the other thing is that over the last few months, Jerome Powell has said we don't need to lower interest rates because I'm concerned about inflation and jobs are okay.
Right.
Jerome Powell's mandate is low inflation and also jobs. If he feels as though the job market, if we're seeing higher unemployment, he could be forced to act. But he's been using data, supposedly, that show that the jobs reports show that we're steady. But now we're finding out that the jobs reports are wrong, that there's a lot less jobs that have been happening over the last 6 months, 5-6 months. So if Jerome Powell was given this information in January, in February, in March, we would have already lowered rates, in my opinion.
Right.
So there's multiple layers to the BLS commissioner. And I think that what we need to do is we need to scrap the old way we're doing it. We need to rely heavily on payroll data, which is real data.
Right.
There's many big, large payroll companies out there. We also have IRS data. We can use all that.
Right.
And we need to come up with a new algorithmic formula to, obviously there could be changes as seasons change and there could be different things, but we need to take out the fact that one person can have 3 jobs and that could count as 3 jobs. And 2, I don't think surveys, which is the same method we were using since 1940,
Right.
is an accurate way to measure how our jobs are. And these jobs reports are extremely important. Everyone listening to this, the jobs reports, the corrected numbers, show for the last few months that our job numbers were off by 60-70%. So if you based your stock purchase on this BLS report, or if you felt like, hey, I'm feeling great about the stock market because the job reports is going up, think again. These numbers are different than what they reported, and I think it's going to take a long time. There's probably going to be an investigation to this to see if there's any kind of political wrongdoing. But ultimately, what's going to happen is there's going to be a correction, and the markets have corrected because of this. And non-correlated markets. I mean, every market is down because of this information. So it's a big deal. It's important for people to know that this is happening out there,
Right.
and they should be aware that in terms of where the markets are going, that I would say that we're in a little bit of a predicament right now, and the markets do not seem as strong based on these job reports.
I have a relative, a young kid. He's going through West Point, and he works for GitHub on the weekends. Now that's two different jobs.
Two different jobs.
They
Right.
count him as two fully employed jobs, even though he's at West Point, which is an employment, and he's at GitHub. So he discovered GitHub this summer. He had a break, and now he's going back to West Point, and he's going to continue to work for GitHub on the weekends.
Sure.
So he's counted as two full-time employees, but he's only one kid. He's all of like 19 years old, 20 years old.
Right.
One of them butterball. Gonna be a butterball. So that's the second lieutenant. So what you're saying is this whole thing is transparently fake.
It's fake. The numbers have been false for a long time. And, we've had corrections in the BLS report before, but nothing like what we've seen. I mean, the charts are, for anyone listening, there's a chart that shows jobs added June 2024 to June of 2025. And you look at, and it shows the initial estimate and it shows the final revision. And this chart is, I mean, I think if anybody had a private sector job and they did this, like President Trump wouldn't have to fire them. They would quit. They would just quit on being ashamed of the fact that the numbers are actually inaccurate. And so this is the problem with a lot of these government jobs, is that people have just said, like, well, it's a government employee and it should be fine. But no, this is important to our day-to-day living. It's important to how companies determine their futures. I mean, everyone's doing these projections for the future.
Right.
And it's based on this data. I mean, this is a pretty important fact. We know that they've been falsifying the inflation numbers for many years.
Right.
They've been changing the CPI. But we have empirical proof right now that the jobs report has been manipulated. And based on, if you just go June to June, it looks like it's been politically motivated to benefit a certain president and then make look another president look like he's not doing a great job.
Well, let me ask you this. Don't you feel relieved and energized that you're in gold and silver because all this garbage that's going on out there doesn't affect you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's yes and no.
I mean, you've got other investments, but I don't. I'm just gold and silver because, Jane's 72, and when we retire, we're going to rely on, when we retire at 72, Jane's going to rely on the gold and silver. And she feels energized when I put a gold coin under her pillow for her birthday, and she is relieved because she says, I don't have to worry about whether or not this Bureau of Labor Statistics gal is lying or cheating and stealing and murder. She doesn't have to worry about that because she knows that when the truth comes out, gold and silver is just going to keep going up and up and up, and she can put her hands behind her back and lay down on her pillow and go, ah. And they can't take it away if we have large medical bills. They don't know we have it.
The thing that bothers me about what's happening is it doesn't just affect investors. It's going to affect, if you're a kid right now that's 18 years old or 16 or 17, and you're thinking about going to college, you're basing your decision on going to college partly on the idea that our job economy is strong, because
Right.
by going to college you're going to go to 100 to $400,000 in debt minimum.
Okay.
To take that on. If you're signing your life away, kind of in a way, to this debt,
Mm-hmm.
you're doing it based on the fact that you feel confident that you're going to be able to get a job based on you going to this debt. And so when I see this data, I think it gives me pause. And I've always been wary of the college system and the debt scheme that they've created for people. But what more importantly is these people going out in the world are making decisions based on data that looks more promising than it is. Because if you knew that the new jobs weren't going that well and it was bad, are you going to be willing to go into $200,000 in debt on a college degree? Probably not. And so that's part of my concern. Is it's just the false data. It really helps certain industries. It helps college. It helps a lot of these industries make people feel more confident. But at the end of the day, we need the real data. That's the most
Yes.
important thing. And so the real data is that we got a very good opportunity right now in metals. Platinum is up 40% this year.
Yeah, what is going on with that?
Platinum is going bananas. It was sitting dormant for a long time. We've finally seen it start to take off. So we're doing great in platinum. Silver's up over 20% this year. Gold's up over 20% this year. So I think, it's a great time for commodities. And so you're right, there is hope, but I think what I've tried to do is really look at government statistics, government reports, and just every time you see these things, just be wary and make sure you're getting it from a credible source. Because up to now, the BLS is not a credible source. I hope it gets fixed. I hope they fix this antiquated system. And I hope this is interesting for people to hear about too. But I think I really did want to shed the light on this situation. It wasn't just another fire by Trump. I mean, this was like an important fire.
Keep going, Colin. I gotta go open the door for Jane.
Okay, and I think it's important for people to realize that we have to make sure that we get the right government statistics so we can make educated decisions on our finances, on our future. These are the things that I think that are really important. And so it's a time that we have to take a step back, look at the data we're getting, and then try to verify it, because we obviously can't trust what the government's sending to us.
Sorry, Colin had a minor emergency.
Oh, no, you're good. Are you okay?
Yeah, Jane. Okay, Jane's daughter got brain cancer. She had to go down there with some stuff, and now the brain cancer is receding, and so everything's good. But anyway, you don't have to worry about. We don't have to worry about what's happening in the market or the Bureau of Labor Statistics or anything, because, well, for me, I'm not invested in the stock market. But what it does do is it guides the economy, and you're right. Kids are making decisions based on current data, and they're going to get $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 in debt and find out there's no jobs.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we just had, out of 42.7 million people, we just had about a quarter of them, 11 million, go into default on an average of $50,000.
Yeah.
And the feds paid the debt off and put the bonds up for sale, and nobody bought the bonds. So the Federal Reserve System bought the Treasury bonds.
Right.
We're talking $500 billion.
Right.
So, and those kids made the decision based on what the colleges said, which is what the Bureau of Labor Statistics said. Now, I got lucky because my bachelor's and master's was paid for by the military, so I got lucky.
Yeah.
But you're a kid out there and you don't want to join the Army. You're looking at some massive debt and hope that the BLS statistics are right and you're going to get a job at the end of the tunnel, not flipping burgers. Because how are you going to pay out $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in debt now in default at 10 to 12% when you're making minimum wage?
Yeah.
So this BLS statistic is extremely important. And to have all these people lying about it, that's beyond insanity. That's almost treason.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so for anyone that wants to get into gold and silver, learn about what we do, get more information, you can call us at 877-646-5347 or check out our website, noblegoldinvestments.com. Talk to the live person, get some good information, and I think it's a great time to learn about what we do.
Yeah.
Noble Gold.
And let me tell you something. I've heard this from hundreds of people in the last couple weeks. You talk to a real person, and this person knows how to relate to you because they're on the same sheet of music. They're with you. They understand the investment strategy and retirement. Sure, Hope is what, 35 years old, 30 years old, but she looks really young, She understands what it's like to be scared and headed to retirement, so she can relate to you. Oh my God, you got a 401k and you're earning 3%? That sucks. Gold went up 20% this year.
Yep.
I mean,
Absolutely.
And Hope is great. There's other people you can call, but you're talking to a real person, not somebody from the Philippines. Oh my God. So,
absolutely. Yeah, talk to a live person. Thank you, Dr. Mann. I appreciate it. Always the best. And hopefully if anybody wants to learn more about what happened to the BLS commissioner or they want more information, give us a call. Talk to someone at Noble Gold Investments. We can fill you in. And as always, thanks for having me on.
yeah, and they're cool. Okay, Colin, we'll let you go.
All right.
Hold on, I have a comment for you. So I'm going to turn off the camera and then